Welcome to Breaking News Wahala. It is no news that the rights of LGBTQI community members in many countries continue to go stronger, with countries like Lustina. I've forgotten the name, but there's an European country that just joined it. To Greece too. These are two of the recent countries who have decided to legalize same-sex marriage.
Now to Greece, where Parliament has voted to legalise same-sex marriage, making it the first Orthodox Christian country to do so. The law change was opposed by the Orthodox Church, which claimed it would threaten what it called traditional families. But supporters say the change is long overdue and a significant advance for Greek society.
Joy on the streets of Athens as crowds celebrated a milestone moment for same-sex couples. Supporters watched the vote from outside Greece's parliament, bursting with pride as the results came through.
It's a historic day. We're so very happy with this result. We've been waiting for it for a very long time. And finally, love wins everything.
The bill had faced strong opposition from Greece's Orthodox Christian Church. Despite the criticism, Greek public opinion on same-sex marriage is narrowly in favour.
We have heard reports that Taiwan, Philippines and some other countries are in the making. But these days, it's quite surprising when we see people protest, saying that LGBTQI rights should be upheld, especially in Canada. From this video, you can see a bunch of protesters protesting, saying that please protect the rights of LGBTQI citizens in Canada, and it leaves people worried. Are these just cloud chasers? Are these just jobless mongers? Or do they truly have a right to protest? And has things really gone down for the LGBTQI community members, especially refugee seekers in Canada? I'm your host, Marvelous Afro-carribean, and I'm always joined by Chimereze Henry Awunaya in our studios in Canada, Toronto, where this is happening. Chimereze, how are you doing today?
I'm fine, Mr. Chaffo. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you very much. So, guys, as you can see, the team is ready. I hope you are. We take a look at the video, and when we come back, we go into the main topic.
Coming in on target. You need to move a little faster than that, son. Seat is light.
Chimereze, that's your country. That's your...
Yes, that's my country.
Yeah, that's where you stay. So, Chimereze, let's get a hang of this. What's truly... Because I'm trying to make sense with the video, but I can't really dissect it. But from what we can see, basically from the title of the video to the banners, I looked at a few of them. The one at the front, the one at the other side. I think even the T-shirt, I tried trying to zoom some to see. But the main point is protect LGBTQI rights. Refugee rights rather in Canada. What's going on there? Do you really agree to this? What's going on?
There is a lot to unpack from these shared videos, and I want this to be very educational, so I'm going to take my points one by one. The first thing starts with immigration and refugee immigration. We had a mass importation of refugee from Uganda when the anti-gay law bill was passed in Uganda. The Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, brought a lot of refugees from Uganda and from Kenya due to the anti-gay law bills in Africa, which first is amazing. But we need to look at Canada as an economy. Canada has suffered from COVID-19 for 2.5 years, bringing the economy of Canada down and increasing inflation in this country. Before we look into bringing immigrants into Canada, we must look at, one, the capacity of homes, housing, to be said. Do we have enough houses in Canada to what's the word? Accommodate the people we are bringing into Canada. How many homes per year is the Canadian Housing Agency able to build? How many housing is the federal government able to subsidize? These are two things. One, the Canadian Housing Agency able to build. Two, the Canadian government able to subsidize. If you look at Toronto as a whole, as a city, a 2-bedroom will be costing you close to $2,500 a month. If you are lucky, the least you can get in some sub regions will be 1,500, 1,700, around that, amount a month.
Owning a home is one thing, while renting is another. But whatever option you choose, it isn't pretty these days.
Renters now facing record high rates and looking for any sign of relief. CTV's Allison Hurst reports.
Ilham Jawaji moved into her King West apartment with her roommate almost 2 years ago, but is now facing a rent hike.
It was $3,300 for a 2-bed, 2-bath, which was great because I got a COVID deal, but they've just raised it by, about $300 every month.
It comes as Canada hits a record high average asking price for rental properties.
It's a lot, and the rent was being outbid by other people, so we actually had to come in over what the asking price was for rent.
According to rentals.ca, in Canada, the asking rent has gone up almost 2% monthly, which is just under 10% per year to reach $2,117 in August.
We have such a supply and demand issue that is almost unfathomable to think when we'll be able to get out of this.
Toronto ranked second most expensive on the rentals.ca list, with an average ask for more than $2,600 for a 1-bedroom. It was only beaten by Vancouver, asking almost $3,000. North York, Etobicoke, and Scarborough were also among the top 10 most expensive areas in Canada.
Until the supply and demand issues really change, until we get that mass purpose-built rentals coming to market, it's not going to change that much. It just won't.
The data is based on newly available rentals on the market. It's what Serena Brooker sees when she considers whether it would be more affordable to move out of her rental.
It's already hard to afford before, but now it's just even more difficult. It's a lot more strain.
Inflation and mostly rental prices and everything, that's really killing people's ability to spend money on anything other than rent.
Thinking back to what I paid years ago and compare that to today, it's crazy. I don't know how people afford it, particularly younger people.
Jawaji says it's happening at a bad time, with high inflation rates making everything more expensive.
Now, the cost of food in the grocery, you cannot take $5 to go to the grocery because you cannot get anything for $5. If you're going grocery shopping, you need close to $200. So a single person house will be looking close to $400 a month for grocery. A family of 2 will be looking close to $1,000 to $2,000 in grocery. That is the economy we are talking about. So it looks so friendly for Canada to be importing immigrants from neighboring countries that have issues. But at the same time, the Canadian economy is shrinking. There is no accommodation for permanent residents. There is no accommodation for citizens. There are no accommodation for even international students. Canada has recently suffered a abuse of the international student entry into Canada, visa entry into Canada. We have a situation where over 700 Indian international students abuse the system. And what did the government do? The government decides not to send them home. After abusing the system, the Justin Trudeau government decides to keep these people who violated Canadian laws in the country. What happens to the Nigerians? What happened to the Africans who violated the law in time past? People of marginalized group, when they abuse the system, they were sent immediate deportation. So when we talk about refugee rights, before we look into refugee rights, we need to look at the economy that we live in, which is Canada. Canada is suffering homelessness. In Toronto, if you look at Toronto, the amount of homeless people, the amount of camp homes, Camping in the parks have increased. If you look at Toronto, the amount of drug use in Toronto is increasing day by day. Every young teenager is on drug. Every most LGBT, let me not say every, but most queer people are on drugs, trying to fight depression. So when we talk about refugee rights, refugees have been given privileges. Refugees in this country, once you come into the country, you declare your asylum case, you are put under what we call OW, Ontario Works. The government will give you the benefits. Some people receive benefits of $750. Some people receive benefits to $1,000 for an individual. When refugees come into this country, refugees are given dental benefits. They can go to any dental office and get their dental benefits. They are also given money for doing their dentals. Refugees in this country, when you come into this country, you are given privileges, you are given programs, newcomer programs, you are given work agencies, you are prioritized more than citizens, more than permanent residents. You are the first in the front rows. So talk more about queer refugees. Refugees are given subsidized homes. They are given programs where they can get into subsidized homes. So when we see refugees marching, the question is, why are refugees marching when they have all these rights? They are suffering the same thing, everybody is suffering. So instead of talking about refugee or queer refugee rights, that is where we need to be able to be reasonable. Queer people are not the only people going through hardship in this country. We must not always put the LGBTQ banner at first. We must learn to put humanity banner at first. Instead of calling that protest a queer refugee protest, it should be called a human survival project. People are hungry in this country. People who work still have to go to food bank to eat. People who work still have to work, and they cannot even pay their phone bills. They cannot pay their housing. They cannot even get good clothes. People who work are working in unbearable situation, both refugees, permanent residents, international students. So instead of us talking about just refugee protests, we should talk about human rights, human survival. So yes, the refugees have every right to protest, but at the same time, I want every refugee person that has come to Canada to understand that Canada is hard for everybody. And the federal government have put you guys in front of the row. You have free legal aids. Legal aids in this country, if you are a refugee, you're not working, the government have provided legal aid where you can go to your refugee hearing. You go for your hearing, the government pay almost $2,000 for your lawyers, for your sittings, and for your refugee hearing. So refugees do have rights in this country. Queer refugees do have priorities in this country. Even Justin Trudeau and the federal government have pumped in a huge amount of money into Rainbow Railway to help refugees. So what are refugees protesting against? If not the same thing every Canadian is protesting against: inflation, police brutality, lack of housing, and exploitation of citizens. So we should begin to fight for human rights, not queer refugee rights. Everybody deserves rights. Everybody deserves freedom. In the Parliament House, they are about to pass a bill where freedom of speech and freedom of expression should be taken away from citizens of this country. They are about to pass a bill where we can no longer say anything against the government. If you say any hate speech against the Prime Minister, you will be arrested. So we should talk about human rights and not just queer refugee rights, because each and every one of us are being pulled down by this government. Over to you, Mr. Achafo.
Welcome to Breaking News Wahala.
It is just less than a week. Thank you very much, Chimeze. I mean, very fantastic points. I would have disagreed with some, but because we're almost out of time, so we'll just kindly call it a wrap. For me, I would say it again. Some of the recent videos I've seen, from the way refugees sleep, where they sleep, to what they eat, to their living conditions, doesn't speak well for the Canadian government, or I don't know what they call it here. No, yeah, it's called the Home Office. Those that are in charge of the asylum seekers and this thing. But
that is why, Mr. Sorry to
some
cut
of
you
the
short.
videos I've seen.
That is why.
You spoke for
No,
a long time.
I'm just going to recap. That is why I said the housing situation. It's not just refugees that are on the street.
But I'm not, yeah, I know I'm not in the Canadian. I don't think from all the lengths of every single person. But in Canada, I know people that live well, that live comfortable, that even do giveaways, that enjoy going to clubs. So yes, I'm still, you might tell me, oh, this housing, this cost of living, this inflation. But I know Canadians who club every day. I know Canadian governments who I know some people that live in Canada who still give like a drunken Santa without being on Christmas Day. But yet, I see a lot of asylum seekers in some terrible conditions. I've seen that recently, even some of them in the tent. I think BBC did a documentary, DWS did a documentary, CNN too did one on the living conditions. Was terrible. Some of them even living in tents as in mountains or like mountain side or like hills and valleys and all of that.
And just to clear the air, I did not say what. Wait, sorry. I want to clear the air.
Let me just take this.
Wait, let me just clear the air because you are misquoting me.
Let's take this.
No, I know we are running out of time.
You cannot have it.
You just misquoted me, Mr. Kelechi.
You cannot have it.
No, Mr.
Kelechi.
Wait, can I correct a statement? No, Kelechi, I need to correct a statement. Yes, I say that. If you allow me just speak, we'll pass because I'm not going to allow you to say what you say without correcting that notion. This is very sensitive to Canadians and permanent residents, and I am putting also.
I don't know why you became such a permanent.
No, yes, I was once an asylum seeker, and I'm
you are sounding bonkers.
No, I'm not sounding bonkers. Mr. Kelechi, let me finish explaining. I'm saying that Mr. Kelechi, can I speak? Please let me speak. I was once an asylum seeker, and I know the process, and that is why I'm saying what I am saying. I'm saying what Canada is suffering. It's not just a refugee issue. It's an issue that is affecting everybody. And I'm saying instead of calling it LGBTQ refugee rights, everybody has a right to a home. Because you're a refugee or not does not mean if you don't have a roof over your head, you don't have a roof over your head. It doesn't matter if you're an international student or a refugee or a permanent resident. The country should favor everybody, both refugees and citizens and permanent residents included. That is what I said, and please don't misquote me, because refugees are suffering. Also, as black minority, we are suffering. Black white people are suffering. Black refugees are suffering. Everybody is suffering. Everybody does not have a job. When you go to look for a job, the population is not matching the job workspace and the job availability. You and I know that I would have gotten more than 2 jobs if it were in 2013, 2014, 2015. I will not be looking for a job month by month. We'll go there, we'll qualify for this job. But when you have 100 people lining up for a McDonald's job, it shows an economy that has failed. So it's not just a refugee issue, it's an issue that affects every one of us. And I'm saying instead of calling it refugee protection, it's a right for human survival. Everybody deserves a good home. Everybody deserves a good food. It is not good that only some people can go to the food bank and have good food. For you to have good food, be you a refugee or be you a permanent resident or a citizen, you go to the food bank to get food when you could work, when you have a degree. Some people have 3 degrees in this country and they cannot even live without food banks. It doesn't matter if you're a refugee or not. That is all I'm saying. Please.
Thank you very much. So over to me, you handing up. That's what I did not have, because I wanted to interject you first, but I wanted you to just see all your points. So when I'm going, I could say my point and close it. But as usual, you still wants to bant with me.
No, you misquoted me.
I was still saying,
and you literally attacked me. You told me I was a refugee, but am I speaking bunkum?
Please, thank you very much. I'm saying again, I'm still going to continue to say this. Whether they say it or not, videos from there do not show. So refugees, if I come into the country as a refugee in Canada, I will feel like anything that bothers me is about the refugees I will be concerned about. I will feel so shortchanged. I will feel like my life is a mess. I imagine I came into the UK as a refugee. And the UK government said, oh, you know what? Go and be living, or they give me tents, give me a sleeping bag, and the tent, they go and be living in the forest, living in the bush. I would say the same thing. The thing I did not do in Nigeria for 26 years, all my life, and I want to come and start doing it here. That's why I understand some of people's pain, and I understand their plight. You might say everything is bad, but you are not in the forest recording, are you? Compare about the thing. From the minion, the government is bad, the economy is poor. But last I checked, you are not in the forest recording. You are not in the tent, somewhere in the bushes, adjusting your light and adjusting your camera to record. Let us remember that these people are going through a lot. It's quite a shame. The Canadian government need to wake up. I'm your host, Marvelous Kelechi, and that's our package for Breaking News Wahala for this episode. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and also comment. Tell us what you feel about this issue going on.
And to wrap up, my heart is with the refugees. I do support
them. You have become a permanent resident, so you can speak for a permanent residency card. Yeah, the next episode,
stop making me look like an enemy. My heart is with the refugees and their right to be protected. But at the same time, what I'm saying in this statement is right.